This is Patrick's Landing, a novel by Marie D. Henry, copyrighted 2010. The video 1 is actually the cover of the book and its title, and the story starts on video 2 in the playlist and elsewhere. This is episode 5. We left off episode 4 where Oswald left the mare and walked slowly to the house. The supper table was cleared of its dishes, but his plate, cup and saucer, fork and knife were waiting for him. He went to the pail of water sitting on the washstand, and with the dipper that sat in it, put water into the white enamel basin that sat in a hole in the stand. He rolled up his blue and white striped shirt sleeves and, forming a cup with his hands, dipped them into the cold water and splashed it onto his face and neck. Then he reached out and took the heavy woolen towel that hung on a wooden roller, found a dry spot, and proceeded to wipe his face and then his hands. His mother came into the kitchen from the parlor. She went to the table and picked up his plate, went to the stove, and from a huge pot she filled it with potatoes, turnips, carrots, and onions, and last of all, a huge chunk of beef. She carried it to the table and set it down at his place. She turned to him with a questioning look on her face and asked, "What was all that excitement about?" He pulled his chair up to the table and began to eat. He glanced at her as she went to the end of the table and sat in the straight-back chair there. She did not repeat her question, but waited for him to explain. He looked up from his plate and swallowed the food in his mouth before speaking. He really did not want to say anything just yet about his plans, but he knew that his mother would not leave the table until she had an answer to her question. His blue eyes took in the plumpness of her figure, the roundness of her face, and the question in her blue eyes. She looked tired, he thought. Her white blouse and black skirt, all made from fabric she had made on her own loom, looked as old as she did. It is not any wonder, he mused, after bearing 9 children with no help but a relative midwife, and clothing us with clothing she makes right from the raw wool into large swaths of cloth on her loom, and knitting socks and other things to keep us warm along with all the cooking and housework. It is any wonder her youthful figure and good looks has disappeared in the 22 years after her firstborn came into the world. He looked down at the shirt and pants he wore. They had come from her skilled hands, as all the other things they enjoyed in their home, and his heart filled with gratitude for the gift of his life and her love. As he gazed at her waiting for an answer to her question, he also felt a deep sadness at the thought of how she was giving all of herself to her family without one complaint, while he had done so little to ease her burdens. I'm 22, and other than helping with the outside work, I have not done a thing to help with her workload, he thought. He met her eyes straight on. She deserves to know and share in my future plans. That much I can give her now, he decided. He cleared his throat. "Mom, as you know, I bought those 50 acres from Dad." She nodded her head but said nothing. He went on, "Well, I'm going to build my home there. I was over there this afternoon and marked out where the house and barn will be. Mom, I want that 50 acres that David has, but I have no more money left from last winter's work to pay him in cash. I'm going to make him a deal. I'm going to offer him the mare in equal payment for the 50 acres. He stopped and ate the now cold food on his plate to give her a chance to digest what he had said. He looked up at her. She was nodding her head. He could not tell from the look on her face what she was thinking. He went on. He wants the mare really bad, and I know that he will go for the deal. It is okay for me to do that. I won't if you don't want to part with her. She is as much yours as mine, but as you know, I can't afford feed for her next winter. Dad needs all the hay he can harvest from the farm for the grays and other animals. For a full 5 minutes his mother studied his face. He wished he could read her thoughts. Her blue eyes did not leave his, and he began to regret telling her of his plans so soon. Perhaps he should have waited until he had the deal talked out with his cousin, he thought. He dared not move away from the table until she had given him her answer. He was committed now, and it would be either yes or no. Whatever it was, she was the decision maker. The mare half belonged to her because of her health, and that is the end of episode 5. Hope you've enjoyed, and I'll try to get up some more episodes as soon as I can. Thanks for watching and visiting and subscribing.